Warning. The Christian Patriot Report is a no-holds-barred, unapologetic show that will easily trigger those that get offended by the truth. Viewers and listeners' discretion is advised. And welcome everyone to the Christian Patriot Report. I'm your host, Don Gardner. And on today's show, we have a lot to talk about because the Democrat Party just got done with their convention, got done with talking about their agenda, what their plans are for this upcoming election in November of 2024. And as you could tell from today's title of the show, it is a title that should be controversial because today's title is the Democratic Party's demonic platform. Now, I know what you're saying. Don, that's controversial. You can't say that. Yes, I can. Because I know what a demonic platform looks like. And what the Democrat Party's platform is comes straight out of the depths of hell. It's demonic. It's the only word you can use to describe this platform. And you can go to their website, the Democratic website, and see their platform, and you can read it for yourself, just how demonic it is. Because it seems like every single issue that the Democrat Party takes that a Christian should have a strong stance against, the Democrat Party takes an extreme, radical, and demonic stance on it. And the first issue we're going to talk about is that of abortions. Because if you've been living under a rock, the Democrat Party is pro-choice. See, they believe it's your body, it's your choice. You get to choose what you want. And they have rebranded this word abortion because that's a dirty word to a Democrat Party. So, like a good communist, like a good Marxist, like a good socialist that they are, you have to rebrand something. And the word abortion, which has a dirty word meaning to it, you have to rebrand it as reproductive rights because they believe they have the right. Women in this country should have the right to kill their unborn children. That's their stance. And many of their stances and many of the policies that they want to push are extremely radical. And and they talk about extremism. That is extreme because one of the things they want to push is to be able to abort a child up until the point of birth. And there's even laws on the books in Democrat controlled states where, let's say this happens, because it has in this country. Let's say a woman goes in because it's her body, her choice, right? And she decides, I want to have an abortion. And she goes through the procedure, and the child survives. Survives the botched abortion. Now, when that happens, do the medical staff then give that child, which is alive, medical attention? By some of the laws that are on the books in some of these Democrat controlled states, the law says you cannot give that child medical aid of any kind. You have to let this child die. Does that not sound extreme to you? Because the conservative or Republican stance on that law is to give that child medical attention up until the point where it either survives or if it dies later. But you give that child medical attention. Now, what happens after that? Let's say the child decides, or not the child decides, but let's say the child survives this botch abortion. You give the child medical aid and it lives. What then do you do? You can put that child up for adoption. You could. Obviously, the parents don't want them, doesn't want the child. But there's many parents throughout this country who would love to adopt that child. But in these Democrat-controlled states, there are some of those laws. And the nominee for president of the United States, which is the vice president, Kamala Harris, her stance is extremely radical when it comes to abortion. And that is her number one priority and her number one policies will address. Now, you can go to her website and you can check to see what policy she has up there, which, by the way, she still doesn't have any policies up on her website because she doesn't want you, the American people, to know what her stance really is on any issue, especially abortion. Because if you actually read what her stance is, you would find it extremely radical. And I honestly believe that if she ever came out and said what she really supports when it comes to abortion, you probably wouldn't vote for her. And honestly, if you are a born-again Christian or of the Christian faith, she shouldn't earn your vote anyway, just on this issue alone. Where she stands on abortion should automatically disqualify her for you voting for her. So let's go through some of the stances that she does have. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And no, I'm not calling the vice president a horse. It's just a figure of speech. Because I can just see you guys typing down below. You called the vice president a horse. Yeah, well, you called Republicans worse than that. So you know what? Live with it. Deal with it. It'll give you another reason to type in the comments below. But let's see. What is her stance? What's her opinion on abortion? Let's hear what some of her stances are. Let's see.
They have set one up just outside the United Center, and they won't just be handing out T-shirts and bumper stickers. They're actually going to be offering free abortion medication, inflatable IUDs, and vasectomies. News Nation's Kelsey Kernstein joining us live outside the United Center with more on this. The pro-life groups, Kelsey, they're pretty outraged by this show from Planned Parenthood outside.
Hey there, Marnie. Good morning. Yeah, I've spoken to some of these pro-life groups. They tell me they're absolutely furious that Planned Parenthood would have a mobile clinic here during the DNC. Now, right now, I'm in the Union Park area. This is where protesters are going to be in just the next couple of hours. I can see them setting up. But it's interesting. I've gotten on the Planned Parenthood website. I cannot find an address for this mobile clinic. And also, all of the appointments have already been booked up. Now, I do want to go ahead and show you this. So Planned Parenthood Great Rivers, which is based in Missouri, where abortions are banned, writing on X, saying, "Here we come, Chicago. Our mobile clinic will be in the West Loop on August 19th and 20th. Now, this is a neighborhood just minutes from the Democratic National Convention where it's taking place. Going on to read that they will provide free vasectomies and abortion medication. Now, emergency contraception will also be available for free without an appointment. Also, reportedly, Planned Parenthood has said that the mobile clinic demonstrates when states like Illinois work to support rather than restrict access to affordable care. The organization is also hoping to help those patients from surrounding states like, say, Iowa, to help get an abortion where it's been restricted. Marnie?
What's been the response from both sides, really, to this mobile clinic, Kelsey?
Well, the pro-life group really saying that this is demonic that the mobile clinic would be here. They've also said that the Democratic Party is the party of death. Now, we did reach out to one of these groups, and this is Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, writing us this statement, which reads, "The Planned Parenthood DNC abortion bus is confirmation that the party of safe, legal, rare abortion is completely gone."
We find this action taken by Planned Parenthood is just totally disgusting in my eyes. We have so much to work for as a party. We used to be the party that stood up for the little guy, that stood up for the working class, that stood up for the vulnerable, and to see Planned Parenthood taking this action at the DNC is just truly disgusting to me.
On the flip side, here's what a Democratic strategist told us about the mobile clinic being near the DNC.
What we're trying to provide Americans, men and women, is the ability to make their own choices about their life and their bodies and their medical care, and not have a politician make that in a back room.
She makes it sound so sensible, right?
Also, really interesting to point out that according to an Associated Press NORC poll from June, 70% of those asked, they believe that abortions should be legal, and that is up from 64% last June. Marnie?
All right, Kelsey, thank you. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, that's something I forgot to tell you guys, that at the DNC, at this great convention that the Democrat Party was having, they had a Planned Parenthood mobile truck offering, now they'll say, free abortion, drugs, and some other stuff, the free vasectomies and whatever else. How much you want to bet there was free abortions happening? Because if they're giving out the medication that aborts a child, if if a woman thinks that she has missed her period and she thinks possibly she's pregnant, she could take this pill and kill a life with it. But that's happening at the DNC. That's what the DNC, the Democrat Party, put outside their convention. Tell me again how that's not demonic, how that's not wrong, how that's not extreme. And did you hear the Democrat strategists trying to justify this? This is the killing of unborn children, the killing of these children. But let's listen to Kamala Harris, because let's hear what she had to say, because she spoke about abortion at the DNC. Let's check it out.
And let's be clear about how we got here. Donald Trump handpicked members of the United States Supreme Court to take away reproductive freedom. And now he brags about it. In his words, quote, "I did it and I'm proud to have done it," end quote.
Vice President Kamala Harris formally accepted the Democratic Party's presidential nomination in Chicago last night, delivering a speech that laid out her vision for the country while also warning about the possibility of former President Donald Trump returning to the White House.
Harris stated her position on several hot-button issues, including the war in Gaza, immigration, and abortion. Leah McNeil joins us now in studio with more of those key points from the speech last night. Also some biographical information, too. You kind of got to know more of Kamala Harris and how she got to this point, Leah.
Yes, there was a lot of things to cover. She actually touched on her family life and upbringing, Kamala Harris, after she did that, she formally accepted the Democratic nomination for president. Then she started to paint a picture of what she says the country would look like under the leadership of her opponent. She took aim at former President Trump, calling him a self-serving leader. She went on to say that he instigated the insurrection on January 6th and pointed to his felony.
Oh, yeah, because she's not self-serving, right?
Convictions as the reasons why she says he's unfit to serve as president. After criticizing the former president,
But
Harris,
she's
as much
fit,
as the speeches
right?
throughout the DNC did, tried to portray a sense of unity. Harris said that her effort to strengthen the middle class will be the center of what she aims to do as president.
I know there are people.
Yeah, going to strengthen the middle class. But on abortion, it's Donald Trump's fault, right? That the Supreme Court, which, by the way, we've gone over this. For those of you that have watched the show and you're a longtime subscriber, you know. But for those of you that are new to watch this, let's go through that. What happened when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade? What happened? Well, there was no longer a federal mandate or a federal stance on abortions. So what happened is it kicked that issue back to the states, letting the states decide what were they going to do when it came to abortions. Were they going to allow them? Was it going to be banned, or was it going to be limited? Now, what has happened since then? There are some states that all out banned abortions, and I completely support that because I'm one of those people that believe abortion should be banned. I know it's not a popular opinion, but guess what? I'm a defender of life, and especially the lives of unborn children. So I'm not going to change my stance on that issue. I know Trump, his stance isn't great on abortion, but it's better than Kamala Harris. Now, what has happened since then? Okay, we have some states that have all out banned it. There are some states that have placed laws that under these circumstances, abortions can happen. And then, in mostly Democrat-controlled states, we have all out abortions up until the point of birth, which Roe v. Wade didn't even do that. So what the Democrat Party is doing, they're saying, we do not support what the Republican or these Republicans or conservatives that are on the Supreme Court, what they did in overturning Roe v. Wade, but yet we want to restore that, but then go further than what Roe v. Wade even allowed. Because Roe v. Wade did not allow open abortions. You notice there's that saying, few, safe, or, few abortions happening, whatever that saying was. It's the famous saying that all Republicans who want to tiptoe around the issue of abortion, they always say, well, abortions can be allowed under these circumstances. But Kamala Harris obviously has shown, especially at the DNC speech, and she has shown since then, she's a staunch supporter of abortions. And her stances are extremely radical. We'll continue with what she said, because she said a lot about abortions, enough to where I believe this is her number one policy that she's defending. So let's hear what she has to say about abortions.
And in their faith, right? Their faith or their deeply held beliefs, to agree the government should not be telling that woman what to do with her body. This evokes, in my mind, very fundamental rights, including the right to freedom for each individual to make a decision about what is in their best interest, the best interest of their family. And if they choose, make that decision with their priest or their pastor or their rabbi. But the government should not be making this decision. On the mifepristone issue, it's politicians finding a court, targeting a specific court that they thought would be helpful to them, to take a medication off the market which was approved 20 years ago by the Federal Drug Administration. Think about that. I'd ask anybody to look in their medicine cabinet, and any drug that you have prescribed by a doctor to alleviate your pain or extend the quality of your life has been FDA approved. And arguably what they're doing with mifepristone could happen to any one of those drugs in your.
Let's hang on. Let's go back to the beginning of that, because what she said in the beginning is extremely important. Let's hear what she had to say in the beginning.
One does not have to abandon their faith, right? Their faith or their deeply held beliefs to agree. The government should not be telling that woman.
Okay. One should not have to. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to call her out. You are demonic, Kamala. You have no faith. Where is your faith? You don't sound like a woman of faith. Now, I don't know her history, but I'm pretty sure she speaks like somebody who has never had children. Because those of you that have children, you know what it's like to have that child grow inside you. Going through pregnancy, the bond you have with that child. This woman does not share that value. But she wants us to shift on our beliefs. She wants you to believe that if you take the radical stance she does on abortion, you're not compromising with your faith. You're not doing that one bit. God will not hold you responsible because it's the woman's right to choose. Yet she also says we shouldn't let the government tell women what to do with their bodies. Yet, if I use another example of, like, I don't know, let's see, can me as a male, do I have to take the COVID vaccine or not? The government a couple of years ago said, no, you are forced. Here's a mandate. You have to get this vaccine. So there's no body sovereignty when it comes to COVID vaccines, or vaccines in general. But when it comes to abortion, now there's body sovereignty. What about the body sovereignty of the unborn child? Do they have any rights to live? The left will tell you, no, they're not a child. They're not a human being. Is that God's stance? When God says in the Bible, I knew you before you were born. In the Bible, it says, I knitted you in your mother's womb, that I knew you before you were born. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the Bible verse memorized, but that is what God said. So as far as God is concerned, as soon as conception happens and that life begins, it's a life. It's a life. And yet, Kamala Harris, her stance is to be able to allow a woman to terminate that life. And yet, that's not extreme, right? That's not radical. That's not the radical stance, right? That's not an extreme stance. It's all about giving women the right, reproductive rights. What a load of crap that is. But let's continue, because she has said a lot. She went to Wisconsin for a campaign. Let's hear what she had to say about abortions then.
At the campaign trail in battleground state Wisconsin yesterday. It was her first rally since President Biden dropped out of the presidential race. Harris now has enough delegates to become the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee. Her message yesterday focused in on threats to abortion access and aiming at former President Donald Trump.
We who believe in reproductive freedom,
the right to kill children,
will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans because we trust women to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do.
Former President Trump took a press call with reporters taking aim at Harris. Trump continues to bring illegal immigration at the southern border to the forefront, now linking Harris to the Biden administration's policies.
She's the same as Biden, but much more radical.
During the call, the former president said he wants to debate Vice President Harris, but did not commit to appearing at the next debate in September on ABC.
Yeah, reproductive rights. She's a big supporter of reproductive rights. We got to have the right to let women kill their children. That's basically what she's saying. You want to rebrand? Reproductive rights is being pro-murder. That's what it is. There you go. I rebranded it. So Kamala Harris is radical. But you know what's really funny about that? Is the lie she told. Donald Trump is not trying to ban abortions. As a matter of fact, you want the cold, hard truth about Donald Trump and his stance on abortion? His stance is this. He has no problem with abortions if they meet certain criteria, like, I don't know, rape, incest. Let's see. If the abortion needs to be done in order to save the life of the pregnant mother, he has no problem. Those are the exceptions that he has no problem where allowing abortions to happen. That's his stance. It's not banning abortions. That's not what he's advocating for. What he did is he allowed, well, he didn't even do anything. The Supreme Court ruled to allow the states to decide what they want to do on the issue of abortions. That's what the Supreme Court did. That is not Donald Trump. And as much as I would love for Donald Trump to have that stance of banning abortions nationwide, that's not his stance. And if you go to Donald Trump's website and you read all 20 promises, there's not one mention of abortions or abortion bans. You read all 20 of those promises that Donald Trump says, elect me for president. These are the 20 things I will promise the American people that I will accomplish. Not one of them is an abortion ban. I've read all 20. Didn't say abortion anywhere there. But that is the radical stance, right? Banning abortions, protecting the lives of unborn children. That's the radical stance in this country? No, it's not. The Democrat Party is the party of death. Let's go look at some other things that Kamala Harris had to say, because you might say this is a new stance that she's taken. No, here's something from 2 years ago talking about was the ruling from the Supreme Court. Let's listen to Kamala Harris. Let's see what she has to say.
This opinion also says, when you read it, that abortion is not deeply rooted in our nation's history. They offer that in the opinion as a foundation for the decision they rendered today. In holding that it is not deeply rooted in our history, today's decision on that theory then calls into question other rights that we thought were settled, such as the right to use birth control, the right to same-sex marriage, the right to interracial marriage. The great aspiration of our nation has been to expand freedom. But the expansion of freedom clearly is not inevitable. It is not something that just happens. Not unless we defend our most fundamental principles.
What a demonic woman this person is. She really is. She's deeply, deeply demonic, possessed by the spirit of Jezebel. She wants you, the American people, to sacrifice your unborn children on the altar of reproductive rights. That's what she wants it done. That's what she wants you to do. And if you vote for her for president, that's what she's going to deliver. Sad, really, because not only did Kamala Harris get in on it, talking about the issue of abortion, but also Oprah Winfrey. Let's hear what she has to say.
Autonomy over this. If you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
Oprah falsely claimed during the DNC that without abortion, there is no American dream. Without, as she said, the right for women to control their bodies and how many children they'll have, there's no American dream. Abortion is not the American dream. The American dream has to do with life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness for all, regardless of their race, gender, status, or gestational age. Abortion is a nightmare that has claimed the lives of over 60 million preborn children and wounded millions of men, women, and members of our entire society. Abortion has impacted us all, and it's a nightmare that I hope one day will end.
Yeah, she's right. And abortion's, and honestly, Oprah's wrong. Once again, she's someone that speaks like someone who has never had children. I don't know her background. Don't know if she's had children or not. She sounds like someone who has never had children. Maybe she couldn't have children. But she's also someone who is deeply possessed by the spirit of Jezebel. Women can't live the American dream. Women only get to decide what happens to a child. What about the father's rights? Because the last time I checked, a child is 2 DNAs. Half of the mother's DNA and half of the father's DNA. Does the father not get to choose what happens to their children? It's only women that gets to choose whether they murder the child or not. What if the father decides, look, I want to raise this child? It's all the mother's choice. It's her right to butcher that child, to kill that child. Again, the Democrat Party's stance on abortion is extremely radical. So radical that no Christian, true Christian, should ever vote for a Democrat. Heck, you want to talk about rebranding? I'll rebrand the Democrats. You guys are Democrats as far as I'm concerned, because every single stance you have that goes against God is demonic. And honestly, the Democrat Party has been possessed by the spirit of Jezebel, and it needs that spirit to be gone. But the more I look at the Democrat Party, the more I see reasons not to ever vote for them on a national stage. They should never earn the votes from a born-again Christian, a true follower of Jesus Christ. You should never, ever, ever vote for a Democrat. You shouldn't. And that's not just that stance. There's others. Transgender surgery for kids. Her running mate, Governor Walz, signed a bill that is extremely radical when it comes to transgender. Or, by the way, they're going to rebrand that too. They have rebranded it to transgender rights. Let's hear what exactly did the governor do. The governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, Tampon Tim. What did he do? What did he sign into law?
protections for abortion access and LGBTQ+ rights. Supporters are explaining the personal reasons they advocated for these laws.
3 bills signed into Minnesota law.
One is long, they're all long overdue.
One of them protects people seeking or providing abortions, like OBGYN Dr. Kristen Lyerly, who lives in Wisconsin.
I can't practice in Wisconsin, so I'm currently practicing here in Minnesota. Thank you.
Yes, you can't kill children in Wisconsin. She's got to do it in
the
Minnesota.
Trans Refuge Law protects people seeking or providing gender-affirming health care.
Gender-affirming care makes us who we are.
State Rep Lee Finke authored the bill.
All of us are living our daily lives, trying to simply find space to be who we are, to love who we love, to exist in our schools.
The other new law bans mental health professionals from practicing conversion therapy and any deceptive advertising of it.
This is a momentous day for survivors like me who can finally see hope in the horizon.
For Ernest Avalos, it's personal.
I'm here as someone who has personally survived conversion therapy at the age of 16. I know all too well the pain and the trauma that can result from such practices.
All 3 laws now in effect.
In 10 years, we've been fighting for this. Feels good.
When someone else is given basic rights, others don't lose theirs.
Republican Senate Minority Leader Mark Johnson released a statement following Friday's debate on these 3 bills, calling them divisive. He says, quote, "We agree we need to protect children and support families, but that doesn't mean we must allow non-guardians to direct and manage life-altering care for children. That doesn't mean we should be picking fights with other states who have made different legislative decisions." And Chris, over to you.
Yep. Because the little thing that they didn't tell you, the little truth that they don't want you to learn, that also in that bill, there was a policy that, let's say there's a child that says, I'm transgender, and they want to go through transgender surgery, right? Yet they're 8 or 9 or 10 or not a teenager yet, right? Haven't hit puberty, but yet they believe they're not the sex that they were born, so they want to go through the surgery. That bill will allow them to go through the surgery without the parents' permission. Yeah, without the parents' permission. So parents have no rights when it comes to their children. If their children decide, hey, I want to go through surgery, transgender surgery. But that's not it. There's more. Let's say there's a child from another state who says, I want to transition. And yet their parents said, no, you're not going to transition. They could literally run away from home. And if they make it to Minnesota, Minnesota's government will then allow that child to go through the surgery without the approval of the parents. Parents don't need to approve. Does that sound right to you? Does that sound normal to you? I don't know. That sounds pretty extreme to me. Yet that is Governor Walz. That's the policies that he would push if he is the vice president of the United States. So in essence, what does the Democrat Party's platform say to you as the Christians? As a born-again Christian, what does it say to you? It's actually kind of scary if you think about it, because the message they're sending to you is this: we're coming for your children. We are going to kill them before they are born. And if they are born, we are going to mutilate them by transition surgeries. Because not only are we going to give the mother reproductive rights, but we're going to give that child, should they survive and get through, if the mother chooses to give birth to them, then we're going to give them transgender rights. Tell me again how that doesn't sound demonic. Separating children from their parents. That's exactly what the Nazis did in Germany. Because Adolf Hitler is famous for saying, I don't need to convince the adults of Germany that my ways are right. All I need to do is brainwash, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, brainwash the next generation. If I can get the next generation and brainwash them, I can create the society that I want. And how did he do that? By separating the children from their parents. That's how he was able to brainwash them to believe his twisted, demonic agenda. And that's exactly what the Democrat Party wants to do with the children of America. That should scare you. But let's talk about, now that Kamala Harris and Governor Walz is the ticket, that's the ticket the Democrat Party is pushing for. What does a future with that ticket look like in America? Because we can see, what will that future hold for Americans if by somehow in November they win? What does it look like? Let's see how America's going to look like in 2025 should the Harris-Walz ticket wins. Let's check it out.
Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump barnstorming the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. Harris and her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, beginning a bus tour in Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Hello, family and friends.
Fresh off the vice president laying out her economic plan in the first major policy speech of her just weeks-old campaign.
Compare my plan with what Donald Trump intends to do. He plans to give billionaires massive tax cuts year after year. You know, I think that if you want to know who someone cares about, look who they fight for.
Harris's ambitious agenda, much of which would have to be cleared by Congress, calling for a federal ban on price gouging of groceries, up to $25,000 in down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers, a tax credit of up to $6,000 for families with a newborn, and capping the cost of insulin at $35 and other out-of-pocket prescription drug expenses at $2,000. Meantime, Donald Trump holding his own rally in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania today after spending the week slamming Harris and the Biden administration's handling of the economy.
Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy.
And drawing fire for these comments, saying the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, is, quote, much better than the Medal of Honor awarded to war heroes.
That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor, that's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead.
Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, defending the former president.
I don't think him complimenting and saying a nice word about a person who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom is in any way denigrating those who received military honors.
Well, did you hear some of the things that she wants to do? Price gouging. That's what she wants to address. The price of food, the price of everything. She blames the corporations for price gouging, even though it's really not the corporation's fault that the prices are the way they are. Because why has everything gone up? It's called inflation. How is inflation created? Or how does inflation, what causes inflation? Here's a dirty little secret that I don't think even a Republican wants you to know, especially a Democrat. Here's how inflation is created. The cause of inflation is the government overspending. So if the government doesn't overspend spend, there's no inflation. But for the past decades, what has the government done? They have overspent. And by forcing the Federal Reserve, which is the centralized banking system in this country, forcing them to have to print more money, what happens? The money, or the value of the American dollar, goes down the more the Federal Reserve has to print. That's just a reality. And the reason the Federal Reserve prints so much money is because, number one, and the only problem, the only cause of inflation, government overspending. That's just the reality. So if you want the prices to go down, what do? Stop overspending. Stop having the Federal Reserve having to print more money. But what will price gouging, these bans, do that Harris is going to promote? If she becomes president of the United States, she will promote this. What's going to happen? If she decides to push this agenda of price gouging, inflation and the price of things are going to go through the roof. That's just what's going to happen, because it has happened every single time a dictator in a third world country, when they tried this, prices went through the roof. How do you get prices to go down? You can cut taxes. You can also cut regulations, but you also have to add to the economy through manufacturing. And if by some miracle the government doesn't overspend, inflation will go down. Because if you have less and less services for those dollars that are being printed off like crazy to chase, it's not a good situation. And it's not good. And that should tell you right there that the future for America under a President Kamala Harris is more of the same of what has happened for the past 4 years. Prices going through the roof because they're going to continue, because she's going to push that agenda. Now, what else is going to happen? Well, Mike Lindell went to the DNC. He shaved off his mustache and he discovered something that, honestly, I think you guys should watch this. Watch this video, because this video should horrify you. Because at the DNC, there was gender neutral bathrooms. Check this out.
This is only him.
Enjoy that gender neutral bathroom, Mike.
I don't know.
I won't tell anybody.
It doesn't seem right. Aren't they all this way?
I don't know. I've never seen that. Is it the same? Like,
I think, yeah, there's men and women in there right now.
Well, I can't, obviously I can't film in there. Have fun. Let me know how it goes. I'll talk to you when you come out. But Mike just went into the gender neutral bathroom where obviously can't take the camera in there. That would be creepy. So it makes me wonder if they've switched out all the urinals or if women that haven't seen a urinal are sitting in them. I might have to go in and find out. How was that experience?
I'll tell you what, never in my life did I think a day would come like this. Bizarre. That's all I can say.
Were there urinals? Any women sitting in urinals?
You know, I didn't look. I kind of went, kind of had a little tunnel vision.
What has happened to our world?
It's upside down. It's right now. This is the battle we're in. It's a spiritual battle of evil and good and nonsensical and the common sense. We're winning. I really believe we're winning. More people are coming to the common sense bucket. Now, I might not look common sense today, not having a mustache.
Okay, well, I did it. I used the gender neutral bathroom. That is designed awkwardness. No urinals, thankfully. All stalls. And you hear people taking fat dumps and you don't know if it's a girl or a guy.
Yeah, gender neutral bathrooms, allowing men and women to use the restroom together. And I know the audio cut out right when Mike Lindell said this is a spiritual battle, and it is. This idea is a spiritual battle, and it's evil at its core. Let me ask you something, ladies. Do you really want to go use a restroom that men use? Because I can tell you right now, there was a time I had to go into a woman's restroom, especially when I was a correction officer in New York. I was at a woman's prison. So during one of my rounds, I had to walk into the bathroom. Now, I can say this. Women's restrooms are cleaner. Men's, oh God, are just filthy. So women, let me ask you, and I know liberals are going to lose their mind because they're going to go, there are women using the restrooms. They're here. You guys don't even know what a woman is, so shut it. But women, and I'm talking to those of you that have an XX chromosome, not those of you that are born men that think you're women. XX chromosome, women. Do you really want to use a gender neutral bathroom? I wouldn't. Nope. No. But that's what's going to come. That's the future of America. Gender neutral bathrooms. And what else is the future for America? Well, the last little video that we're going to play today is what happened. This is a video that was about a couple years ago during the COVID lockdowns of 2020 and 2021. The governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, he sent a bunch of National Guards into the neighborhoods because he wanted citizens to stay in their homes during the lockdowns. And if anyone came out and defied his order of getting into the stay in your homes, he had the National Guard shoot those citizens, the citizens of Minnesota, with paintballs. Check this out. I honestly did not believe that this was the case. I was like, no, there's no possible way this happened until I saw this video. Then I watched the video and I was horrified. Check this out.
Look at this. They just keep coming.
Oh, go inside!
Those are National Guard.
Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light them up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in! Get in!
Oh, God, that hurt. You good?
Are you okay?
Right on the fucking crotch.
Are you okay? You got hit?
I'm good. They're fucked for that, dude. What?
Okay.
Yeah, coming to a town near you. If the Harris-Walz ticket wins the election in November and there's another pandemic and another lockdown, whether it's COVID, whether it's monkeypox, whether it's some other virus that gets leaked out of a Wuhan lab in China or somewhere else, they will send National Guards into our neighborhoods. And if we do not stay in our homes, they will shoot us with paintballs, forcing us back inside. That's not extreme. That's extreme. Now, I know those of you that are just listening to the show, you couldn't really, all you heard what was going on. So let me just describe it to you. Let me take a moment to describe it to you. Okay. The video starts. You can see they're on whoever's shooting this video is on the porch, their front porch. And you see a bunch of National Guardsmen in their camis and in their uniform. And they're walking up the side of the streets and they're yelling. Those ordering people to go inside, which, hey, kudos for the language, because I know, hey, being a former Marine, we can get a little bit colorful with our language. But they didn't use language. And then at some point you hear whoever's in charge light them up. And then you hear the pop, pop sound. That's them shooting the paintballs at the citizens of that particular neighborhood. Let's watch it again. Because now that I've described it, now, those of you listening to the show, listen to this again and see if you're not scared.
Look at this. They just keep
Here they
coming.
come. They come walking up the street.
Get inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in. Get in. Oh, God, that hurt. You good? Are you okay?
Yeah. Remain in your house. Because that is what the government wants you to do. Stay in your homes during the lockdown. Don't go outside. Don't get vitamin D from the sun. Don't get oxygen. No, stay inside so that you can infect each other. That's what's coming. That's the future of America under a Harris-Walz ticket. Is that the kind of America you want to live in? I wouldn't. You really need to analyze the past 4 years. If you're sick and tired of the way the prices are, the price of energy, the price of gasoline, the price of food, don't believe the Democrat Party's lies that it's the corporations price gouging you. It's not. It's inflation. Inflation caused this. And their policies caused this. Yet, they will tell you they're going to fight for you. They will tell you, vote for us and we will fix things. Think how moronic that is. Vice President Harris is saying, vote for me and I will fix things. When she's been in charge for the past 4 years as the vice president. Now, I know Nancy Pelosi will say the vice president really doesn't have much power, but still, you've been in charge. And by saying you're going to fix things, you know you have messed things up in this country. That Bidenomics isn't working. So ask yourself, American people, is Bidenomics working for you? It's not working for me. And it's not working for the vast majority of the American people in this country. And if you're sick and tired of paying higher prices for food, for gasoline, for energy, don't vote Democrat. Don't vote Democrat. And if you're going to vote for someone who's going to really fix things, vote for Donald Trump. Plain and simple. And if you're a born-again Christian, I can't emphasize this enough. I don't know why, under any circumstance, should a Walz or should a Harris-Walz ticket earn your vote. Because someday you're going to have to stand in front of God. And when he says, what did you do in defending my children who are the unborn children? What was your stance? What are you going to say to him? I voted for a politician that allowed these children to be sacrificed on the altar of reproductive rights. I won't have to, because I don't vote for these Democrat Party. I don't vote for Democrats. I don't. And I hope you don't either. I hope today's show shows you just how radical and demonic the Democrat Party has become. And here's a warning to even the Republican Party. That same spirit, that same demonic force that is the spirit of Jezebel, wants the Republican Party too. And if you allow her to sink her claws into your party, you'll be the next party that will be taken down. So until next time, I'm Don Gardner. This has been the Christian Patriot Report. May God bless you. May God bless America. Go check out the show's website at dongardner.weebly.com. Go check our social media links. Go follow us wherever we have our social media, and check out our websites, check out our shows. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, whether you're listening to the audio or video versions. If you are listening to the audio version and you're able to give us a 5-star rating and a review, thank you. And I hope you do that. But I've been Don Gardner. This has been the Christian Patriot Report, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.